Hey all, welcome to our series of SQL interview questions and answers. This is the fourth video in this series and today's problem statement is write a SQL code to identify and delete duplicate records from the given sample input table. And this is the sample input table using which we have to write a SQL code. We are going to solve this problem statement using three different methods. Those are using a temporary tables, using a CT and row number windows function, and lastly we will solve this problem using a self join. So let's jump to a MySQL workbench and create this sample input table. I have created a sample table using this above script. Let's check whether all the records are inserted properly or not. So let me execute this one. As you can see, all the records are inserted properly in the sample table, and you can see here at ID number 1 and 3 then 5 contains same name and value. Okay, similarly ID number 2 and ID number 6 contains same name and value. We need to delete the record which contains same name and value, and only we have to keep the records which are unique. Let's solve the problem using the first method, that is by using a temporary table, and these are the steps which you are going to follow in this method. First of all, we will group the records of the sample table using the name and value columns. Then we will select the minimum ID from the groups. Then the result is stored inside a temporary table, and we will check the records of the temporary table. After that, we will delete the duplicate records using the subquery and temporary tables. Then finally, we will drop the temporary tables. So let's solve the problem using the same steps. First of all, I will select all the records from sample table. Okay. Then I will group them, group by name comma value. Okay. Then I have to select a minimum ID. So minimum ID, as I will give alias as ID only. So let me execute this one. As you can see, I am getting the records which contain a minimum ID. Now this result we have to store inside a temporary table. In MySQL, in order to create a temporary table, we have to use a command as create temporary table. I will give name as temp table. Okay, as this one. So let me create this temporary table. So okay, so temporary table is created. Now using this temporary table, I have to delete the record. Before that, I want to check whether all the records are stored inside a temporary table or not. How? Using a select star from this temp table. Okay, so I will end this one. As you can see, we are getting the same records here. Okay, so using this record, now we have to delete the duplicate record from the sample table. How? Using a delete statement. Delete from a sample table where ID not in. I will use a subquery. Okay, select ID from this temporary table. So let me execute this one. So now we will check the record from the sample table. Select star from sample table. So let me execute this one. As you can see, we are getting the only unique record from the sample table. Okay, this is how we can delete the duplicate records using a temporary table. In order to drop a temporary table, we have to use a command as drop temporary table, and we have to mention a temporary table, that is temp table, and execute it. Okay, let's break down the order of execution for this query. First of all, temporary table will create, and based on that temporary table, it will delete the record from the given sample input table. Let's try to understand each steps one by one. When we execute our first query, that is create temporary table, sample table from the interview DB will kept under the execution. This is the first order of execution for this query. In the second order of execution, group by clause will group the records based on the name and value columns. In the third order of execution, select clause will select the record from the group where id is minimum in the group and generate the result table which will stored inside a temporary table. When we execute second query to delete the duplicate record, the inner query will get execute first by taking temporary table as an input. Now the result generated from the inner subquery will fed as an input to the outer subquery where sample table will kept under the execution. Based on the where condition, it will delete the records from the sample input table and generate the result table. This is how this query will execute step by step. In order to reinsert the record in a sample table, first of all, I will truncate the table. So let me execute this one. After that, I will reinsert all the records in the table. So now we will solve the problem using a second method, that is by using a CTE and row number. And these are the steps which you are going to follow in this method. First of all, we will select ID and assign the row number by partitioning the record on the name and value column. Then we will store the result inside a CTE. After that, we will select the ID for our duplicate records. So wherever the row number is greater than 1, that record is a duplicate. Then we will delete that duplicate record using a delete statement. So let's follow the same steps here. First of all, I will select ID and I will assign a row number by partitioning the records, partition by name and value, and I will order the records by ID in a ascending order. Okay, then I will give alias as a row number. Okay, row number from which table? From sample table. Okay, here I have to use a comma. So let me execute this query. Okay, so as you can see here, we have assigned a row number for each and every record in a sample table. Okay, now we have to store this result inside a CTE. Okay, in order to create a CTE, we have to use a with command, and I will give a CTE name as a duplicate records. Okay, as open bracket and close bracket. Now from this CTE, I want to find the duplicate records. How we can do that? So select ID from this CTE. Okay, so copy and paste. So where row number is greater than 1. So wherever the record contain a row number greater than 1, okay, that record is duplicate record. Okay, so let me show you. So let me scroll it off. Okay, as you can see, these are the records which are the duplicate. Okay, so I want to delete this. How we can do that? Using a delete statement. So I will use here delete from sample table. Okay, where ID in. So I will use bracket here in order to create a inner subquery. Okay, so let me execute this one. So this query is successfully executed. Now let me check whether all the duplicate record from the sample table were deleted or not. So I will use select star from, and I will copy this table and paste here. Okay, so let me execute this one. Okay, as you can see, all the duplicate record from the sample table are deleted. This is how we can write a SQL code to delete a record from the sample table using a CTE and a row number. Let's break down the order of execution for this query. When we execute this query, first of all, CTE will get executed. Then the result of the CTE will fed as an input to the inner subquery of the delete operation. Then the result generated from the inner subquery will fed as an input to the outer subquery. Let's try to understand each steps one by one. The from clause from the CTE will fetch the sample table from the interview DB and keep it for the execution. Now, using a select clause, it will fetch the ID column by assigning the row number to the records in the ascending order of the ID column, and this result is stored inside a CTE. Now, the result stored inside a CTE will fed as an input to the inner subquery of the delete statement. Using a where clause, it will filter the records where row number is greater than 1. From the filtered records, it will select the ID column using the select statement. Now, outer subquery will fetch the sample table and keep it for the execution. Using a where clause, it will delete the records where ID is equal to the result of the inner subquery and generate the final output. This is how this query will execute step by step. In order to reinsert the record in a sample table, first of all, I will truncate the table. So let me execute this one. After that, I will reinsert all the records in the table. Now we will solve the problem using a third method, that is by using a self join, and these are the steps which we are going to follow in this method. First of all, we will join both the table using a cross join. Then we will filter the duplicates records. Here I am assuming that our left table is a table from which I want to delete the duplicate record. For that, I will use a right table to filter out the records. Then I will delete the duplicate records using a delete statement. Let's follow the same steps here. First of all, I will select star from sample table and I will give alias as t1. Then I will use here cross join sample table and I will give alias as t2. So let me execute this query. As you can see here, I am getting the Cartesian product of both the table. From these record, I want to filter the duplicate records. Okay, so how we can do that? So I am assuming that the left table is our main table from which I want to delete a duplicate record. Okay, on this assumption, I am writing a filter condition here. First of all, I will use t1 dot id is greater than t2 dot id and t1 dot name is equal to t2 dot name, and I also want t1 dot value is equal to t2 dot value. Okay, so let me execute this query. After executing this query, we will get all the duplicate record from the left table. Now I want to delete these duplicate record. How we can do that? Using a delete statement. Delete t1 because I want to delete all the duplicate records from the t1 table. So let me execute this one. Now let's verify the result. Okay, as you can see, we have deleted all the duplicate records from the sample table. This is how we can delete a duplicate record using a self join. Let's try to understand the order of execution for this query. After executing this query, the tables from the selected database, which are mentioned along with the from clause and cross join, will kept under the execution. Then the cross join will generate a result table which will contain total 49 records. Now from the generated tables, records are deleted by filtering the records using a where clause, and final output is generated. This is how this query will execute step by step. This is all about in this video, guys. If you want the notes, then please check out my Telegram channel and don't forget to subscribe, like and comment on this video. Thank you so much for watching this video.